I'm Mitch Boyer. I'm the AP on SRS at Namco.
And I'm Robert Zlot, producer on Street Racing Syndicate for Namco. In Street Racing Syndicate, you assume the life of an American street racer. You buy cars, tune-up cars, and race cars against other people that are doing the exact same thing. So we have about 49 cars right now, and we're not done. So we're trying to get as many in as we can. But there's 7 manufacturers right now. We got Toyota, we have Subaru, we have Volkswagen, and lots of editions of cars too. So the Impreza WRX, we also have the STI edition, the 350Z, the Nissan 350Z. We also have the Touring edition, the Performance edition. So the main thing you do, sort of the meat of the game, is you buy a car, you head out and you tune it up and challenge people, and you can challenge people right out on the road as you're driving around, because we have a open city. The whole game is an open map, and if you see somebody, you can go up and high beam them and challenge them to a race. And if they you haggle over the bet, and then you take off, and if you win, you get their money. There's also crew races in the game where these teams of guys sort of have their territory, and you can roll up to their sort of hangout and challenge them to races, and you race for respect and money, and then as you earn money, you tune up your car.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to too. You won't get very far unless you do. So in other games that you might be familiar with, you say you want to put an exhaust on or something like that. You put an exhaust on and it'll tell you that'll be 15 horsepower. It tells you what you're gonna get. In SRS, we don't do that. We actually feature a real dyno, which is a first for games of this type, where you can actually see we're plotting real-time torque and horsepower curves. None of that is lookup tables, none of it is fake. That is straight runtime data from the game engine itself. So you can see right now, this is 280 base horsepower for this version of the car. If I go and I modify it, let's say I go and I put over to turbos here, go to Greddy, put a Greddy intercooler on, T78 turbo, buy these parts, and then if I go back and I dyno it again, put it on the dyno, you'll see that there's 2 torque curves and 2 horsepower curves now, and you can actually do comparison runs so that every time you upgrade your car, you'll be able to really see what you gain, and it's the real gains.
It's the actual gains. It's the stock car with the real horsepower and characteristics of that car, and then as you add the parts, it affects the car in the way it would in real life. So those gains from that intercooler and that turbo are actually what you would get. And our dyno is a real dyno. I mean, it's virtual because it's in a video game, but we're actually putting the car on the dyno and letting it run and calculating the output. So
it's generated directly from the physics model of the game itself. And the physics in this game is pretty fantastic. I mean, if you compare it to other games of its type, it's far more realistic. And it's not a sim, but we've really had to start with a basis of realism to get where we want to be. We have car-specific driver assists. So on a car as famous as, let's say the Nissan Skyline GTR, the Skyline has very distinctive driver assist systems. It's got 4-wheel steering in its Super Hika system. It's got electronic torque split in its Ateza Pro system. So we model all of those systems into the actual gameplay, and you can feel it when you're driving the car.
So one of the key things for us was starting with that sim aspect and then bringing out the personalities of the individual cars. If you drive a car with all-wheel drive, it feels different than a car with rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. And we've actually tried to, like I said, bring out the personalities of the cars so that an RX-7 drives like an RX-7, and someone who owns an RX-7 will be able to jump in it and understand that it's a rear-wheel drive car, and that if they take a turn the wrong way and they have too much gas, they might slide out. But if you're not that hardcore into cars, it's still very accessible, and you can still drive, and you just pick the car you like, the way it looks the best, or whatever your criteria is, you'll be able to jump in and drive it.
The guy who just wants to jump in and stab the gas pedal can really do that, but then guys who understand drifting, guys who understand apex and oversteer, understeer, real world techniques will have a great advantage in that way. They'll know how to drive. Our game will reward it.
Another thing is in our free roaming city, we've done stuff to we wanted to give you things to do while you're out in the world. So you go and you tune up your car, and you're tweaking how the car performs. Then you go out on the street and you can actually feel the changes So we've got guys out on the street that are tuning up their cars too, and you can high beam them and start a race with them. But also there's police. So if you blow past a cop at 120 miles an hour, he's gonna chase you. So you have to evade the cop, and the way you do that is by trying to outmaneuver him and go around corners and try to hide. So you'll see that the cops, once they give chase, they'll call more cops, and you can just try to outrun them, but they got radios, and
right.
you know, the speed of sound is a little faster than you. So, but you can ditch them and hide and things like that.
That's what's cool about the open city. I mean, we've been able to build in hideouts all around the city, and we don't tell the player where they are. They're just there. So if you're running from the cops and you duck into some alleyway, you'll just see the cops blow by, and it'll say hiding in the corner of the screen.
Here's another racer that's oh, you're not supposed to hit it, but
he accepted the challenge.
Yeah. So there's other racers out in the world, and this is just a pickup race. You just saw this guy driving around, and you're like, I think I can take him. So you just blink your high beams at him, and then it's on.
I don't know if you can see, but in this shot here, we also feature something that you wouldn't expect to see in a game with licensed cars, which is damage. We have real-time damage in the game that's not only visually evident, but affects performance. You can see my hood flapping in the wind right here as I squeeze.
And at the end of the race, you have to go pay for the damage. You have to fix your car. So it's a hard balance to get, have it be fun, and then have the damage not cost too much. And it does affect your car, but it's not so much that you just get hobbled. So, the key for us was to keep it fun and to give you all of these features and still have it be, jump in and go, exciting.
Because if
racing.
It's a sim, it's no fun. I mean, driving a car that's completely destroyed isn't fun. Driving a car that you can see that it's wrecked and it doesn't drive as good as it used to, that can still be fun.
Please don't hit me.